No. Good evening, everybody. My name is Osa, and tonight we are playing FS19 on Ungetsheim. And the steering wheel works, and we are in forward gear. And we are going to harvest some stuff. This harvester is very loud. So, not swathing anything, no straw, because we don't need it, and I've got no way to handle it. I could get a collection wagon, but we're playing seasons, so I would have to bale it if I want to sell it. So it's just a waste of time for us here. So we'll just take the crop and be happy. Okay, this is going to be a little awkward. Well, we made it round the corner. And I could be missing some bits along the side there. Turn that off now. So I'm kind of thinking there's a grass field just to the south of where we are, by the yard where we have all of the fertilizer and seed supply. I might plough that under and turn it into a crop field. And good evening, Whitehawk. Welcome to the stream. Sorry, starting a little late. I've been having discussions with Mrs. Osa on colours for floors and walls and everything else for the new house that we're buying. We also heard from the adoption agency earlier today, and we haven't been selected, so I'll probably end up doing a little bit more research and see if there's any other children we're interested in, or we might be interested in. But that means for right now we can concentrate on moving house. So I'm not sure how well I'm doing here at this, so I haven't gotten out the cab to look. Pretty sure I'm going to have to do 2 headers so that we can get a turnaround at the bottom end of this field here. So yeah, the field to our left where the tractor is, we just own up to the end of that field. But behind these trees there's a big grass field which we might be able to turn into a crop field. Obviously we've got these fields to prepare for next year. Possibly put down some oilseed radish in them. How are we doing? Oh. Harvester's nearly full. I think I've got the stock mod on. Doink. Yep. So we can jump back to here. There might be bits of wheat on the left there in the weeds. Yeah, my wife's been looking at some rooms online where, actually, turn that off, where the walls are painted white, and then the accents are all in the curtains and accessories. And while white is quite harsh, if you do it right, it can look very nice. But we're not really that good at picking colours and what have you. I mean, the nearest I've got to picking colours is using a colour matching palette online. My wife bought these dark blue curtains, which are really nice, and when I did the colour matching, it came out as a sort of gold yellow colour, and the room kind of looks like Michigan University colours. I mean, it works, but it's a bit bold. Kind of like orange. This harvester actually feels like it's going faster than 6 miles an hour, but there you go. Yeah, in England, it was quite funny. In England, they did, all the paints are pre-mixed. And so when you buy your paint, you have to make sure they all have the same batch number, because otherwise there might be minor differences between the shades. Well, I had a living room kitchen combo, and you kind of want sort of water resistant paint in the kitchen area, but it doesn't really matter in the living room area. And the only colour they did was this sort of peach colour. So I ended up having to paint the living room in peach, because it was the only colour that you could get both the water resistant and the standard paint. The bathroom I painted blue, which was a water resistant paint, and then other rooms I painted whatever colour I ended up painting, I don't remember. We haven't lived there in like 20 years, so but I do remember the whole peach colour thing. Okay, I'm going to have to empty this, so we'll do another run across the bottom there. Then I may try start going up and down this field. When I lived with my mum, when I was a lot younger, we did... they had a range of paints which were sort of an off-white colour. And I liked green, so we got a dark green for one wall in the bedroom. And then the other 3 walls we painted in what was called apple white, which was white but not quite, very slightly tinged with green. And my sister liked purple, so she had a dark purple wall and an off-white towards a sort of purple shade, tinge. Well, with American paint colours, you get the base paint, so you can get the satin or the gloss or the silk or the matte or whatever, and it all comes as white. So there's no problems mixing up the batch. And then you add, Then you add the pigment. And so you pick the colour you want, and that dictates how much of sort of blue and how much of green to mix together to make the shade of whatever colour you want. And by doing that, you don't have the problem with colour matching different types of paint. You know, I could get a satin paint for my wood and a matte paint for the walls and put the same pigment in both sets of paint, and it would all look right. And good evening, Nitro Ballistic. Welcome to the stream. And have I stopped? No, I just stopped pushing the go forwards button. Okay, there we go. Jump back to the tractor. So this is going to overfill the cart. And now I did miss some. Definitely missed some. Since we're impoverished Bavarian farmers, we will have to go and get that bit. Oh. I should back up a little. There we go. So yes, fortunately we have a number of friends who are good with interior design. And so one of them is going to help my wife pick colours. I don't do colours. As I said, I look online for colour matching tools. I did do well with our basement here, because I started with we had some denim furniture. So of course denim blue, and we ended up with accented dark green and light green walls. So two of the walls, opposing walls, were dark green, and two of the opposing walls were light green, and that looked quite good. Was it dark green, light green? Yeah, I think so. But anyway. Oh, nice. So yes, this grass field next to us, I might plough that in over the winter. See if we can grow some more stuff, because I am planning to take this playthrough at least 2 years. And the big tell is going to be how much do we make from the harvest in order to buy some more land. Don't intend on increasing the amount of equipment we have, because the equipment we have is quite adequate for what we're doing at the moment. Oh, wobble, wobble, bounce, bounce. Now the question is are we going to finish harvesting this field today? Break. We shall see. English, science and drama. Now, when I was at high school, we didn't have science. We actually had physics, chemistry and biology. You could take your pick. And I ended up picking all three. Not that I've done... where am I going in here? Not that I've done anything with any of them since I left school. In fact, most of the subjects I took at school really haven't used a lot since I grew up. I did do a computer science class, and haven't used any of the languages I learnt in that class in real life. And oh, I left that running. Silly. Okay, I'm going to get out and fold that in and get moving. In fact, the programming language I've used as money earning, work-related language, I learnt on the job at my first employer's company. I put one programming language I learnt at school to use because during the Y2K we were having some issues with one of our vendors and their invoices, and so I was told to figure it out. So I sat down and basically reverse engineered the data that was coming to us, figured out the map, and then looked at a second invoice, and it didn't match the data layout didn't match the first one. So okay, so I figured out the second one. So there's an either or, and there's a tell in the data on the first line that will indicate which method they use to generate the data. And I looked at the next invoice and that matched the first one, and I looked at the next invoice and that matched the first one, and then I looked at the next invoice and that didn't match either of the two maps I'd created. So I said, okay, so there's a third one. Eventually I contacted the vendor and I said, look, trying to figure out what this data format is. Do you have anyone who can talk to me? And they said, well, no, because our programmers quit 5 years ago and we don't have any left, but we can send you the source code. So it's sort of, well, what language is the source code in? COBOL. Well, I know something about COBOL, although I've never programmed in the real world in COBOL. Send me the listing and I'll take a look at it. So I then figured out their program, how it all worked, what it did, and created the data formatter for our system. But only language I learnt at school that I've used in the real world, not for programming but for figuring out what the vendor's programming was, because they didn't have anybody left who could read it. Okay, so general science, yeah. As I said, our school didn't do general science. It did physics, chemistry, and biology. And during the junior year at high school, you kind of had science rostered, and then each semester you would do one of the disciplines. And a third of your year was doing chemistry, a third was doing physics, and a third was doing biology. But by the time you got to the senior years, you specialised. Hated English. I didn't have very good English teachers, so I didn't like English. I hated history. Our history teacher was a teacher because I think she figured it was a good thing to do, not because she was any good at it. Now, I think as she matured as a teacher, she did get better, but I'd left the school at that point. And since I left school, I quite enjoy history. But I enjoy specific parts of history, not the bits of history that she was trying to teach us. Sort of, hey, imagine, we have to do Victorian England. write an essay on what it would be like to be a child sweeping chimneys. Sort of, yeah, whatever. It's creative writing. That's not history. Now, I have read a bunch of Shakespeare, but studying it, doing exams on it, no, I'm not interested. I'll read books. Well, I used to read books. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be. Nope. And I haven't done a school play since, I was in middle school. And I was Sir Walter Raleigh in Merry England, which was a musical play. And I think I was Sir Walter Raleigh because nobody else could sing that part. Oh, excuse me. It was when I moved up to high school. We had a musical competition every year between the houses, and I won the solo singing the first 2 years, and then my voice broke, and then it didn't work out too well. And the problem with the group singing was they only sung 3 parts: alto, tenor and bass, and I can't sing bass. We did the competition also had a sort of a final combined choirs song, which I did join the choir for, because it was not only the kids but also the teachers as well, and for that we had a full 4-part chorus rather than just soprano, alto, tenor or bass. But wasn't really good at acting drama. One year I was in the school play, but as sound. So we had to build up the sound effects tape for... we did the Diary of Anne Frank. And it went okay. I wouldn't say I was brilliant, but... there were 2 of us working the soundboard, and the other guy gave me the wrong cue, and so we put the wrong sound out at the wrong point. But I have to take the top end of this off again. Oh yes, yes. Tom Sawyer is definitely not accepted in modern times by some people because of the language. I mean, there's a lot of books that people want to delete because some of the terms they used, they're just not accepted in polite society. And there's always the classic, you could not make Blazing Saddles today. It is a wildly hilarious movie, but it would not pass anything. Not quite a good enough turn circle there. And after, what's it? Kids went home Sunday afternoon, I ended up checking off some of the mods I have and added a couple to the Lawfolds play through. So I've got some options for some additional equipment. I mean, I'm probably not going to make use of them immediately, but they're kind of there for, yeah, oh, I need something that does. I'm also playing the last objective for World of Warships, so I may stream some of that this week. I'm trying to excuse me a sec. I'm trying to blitz through my tier 10 ships so that I complete their legendary modules before they go away permanently. I guess over the last 3 weeks I've managed to earn the legendary module for my Montana battleship. Next one on the list is going to be the Des Moines American Heavy Cruiser. And once that's all done, I think I've got the Worcester and the Shimakaze, or the Shimakaze's legendary module is bad. Has more bad things about it than good things. But I may earn it anyway just to say I've got it. Then I can go back to leveling up some of my ships. Okay, yeah, we'll finish this field off and probably take the night off and come back in the morning to do the last field. And then we can get into possibly doing some harvesting contracts. Because I want to get the harvesting or the contract achievement done, and that will earn us some more money for more land. Nice. Wrong button. Actually wanted the lights on. It's the next one, isn't it? So this time of night all the pedestrians are gone. So I can run down here without fear of running anybody over. I'll finish emptying this, we'll run back down to the bottom and finish off harvesting. Ghost.